Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling. I shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today after another D&D campaign session, hence why we are recording so late today. I forgot what I was going to talk about, to be perfectly honest, but what was I going to say? I honestly can't remember. Anyway, this D&D session, not as wild as this is group 1. So group 1 of a chaotic group, and group 2 are kind of like the slews, I would say. But good evening, everyone. Right now in Fawnhollow, it's 10:55 p.m. on Wednesday, March 20th, 2024. Certainly not as chaotic, but we still do rather chaotic things, which definitely it's quite the test for a new dungeon master, I suppose. So trying to wrangle how things go, to be perfectly honest. But the most namely this one is that they split into 3 groups at one point, so I was just like, oh my god. It's a lot of back and forth. Like luckily they weren't doing anything crazy, they were just like visiting different areas around town, but it was pretty difficult to keep up with, and it did mean, unfortunately, that like I feel like the campaign slows down a lot if you split up into 3 groups, because there's just times where I don't know why I didn't talk to the thing at least, where you had to sort of just sit there as you wait for like 2 other groups to go and have their part, and then you have your part, and one of the groups had a combat encounter, and I was just like got a little bit repetitive at that point, but mainly that's because there was just a lot of missing from both sides, to be perfectly honest. But you know, I still think it felt more like a setup session, I think, for the next session, where not necessarily things will kick off like in a huge way, but things will likely happen. Wow, we have so many weeds on us. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. The next session that I have is group 2 on Friday, moved from Monday because just a little bit of rescheduling here and there. What other missions do we have? But yeah, I'm not going to talk about that today in my monologue. Well, I can talk about it a little bit, but there's one thing which I can't believe how perfectly it works out. You know, some of the story beats in the campaign. Like, if you've not been keeping up, that basically the group on their... Was it their first session? Or was it their second session? I can't remember. The sessions are like mixed up in my head. What number session are we even on right now? That was the 3rd session, wasn't it? No, that doesn't make sense. That was a second session? I need to look at like my notes for D&D. Okay, session notes. That was... Okay, what was group... Session 1. That was that. Session 2. Okay, session 2 was the big chaos one. Oh, yes, okay. So session 2 was a huge chaotic thing where basically they wanted to investigate the council who of the town, because they were suspecting them of doing some strange business, basically strange going-ons, which they wanted to find more information about at the council house. And then because of some poor stealth rolls, they just like went into, not quite like, maybe almost a panic mode, where it was just like, oh, some crazy stuff ends up happening. They just decided to completely storm the house and cause a huge commotion and that sort of thing. And it's amazing how well things pan out. But I didn't even plan, because one of the things which ended up happening was there was a council member who, you know, I'm not going to give spoilers necessarily behind the scenes or anything like that, but she was a diplomat who just came back from visiting a different town, and as soon as she entered the building, they basically staged this big event where they pretended that they were being attacked by a sewer monster, and the sewer monster would scared everyone away and that sort of thing. Then she literally came back in town just at that moment. Not quite like a bit before that moment. She was just like in the townhouse, that thing, and then she ended up trying to help one of the player characters against one of the other player characters. And then, of course, because of all the antics, you know, she's like a higher in the ranks of a leadership. Like the issue of them being under house arrest got escalated even further. So then she's now the one which is now keeping tabs on them, and their like reaction. No, because basically they're meant to be under house arrest, so she's not meant to have known that they've like actually been out about sneaking about. But she absolutely saw them on that day when they like sieged the manor, the townhouse, and that sort of thing. yeah, but she absolutely saw them. You know, she even had like a personal chat with one of them while they all just sort of like ran away. And I assume at the time they just thought she was like maybe like a more like a guard or something like that. But she's not, you know, maybe through, well, I guess I couldn't really tell because I couldn't see my rolls, but she wasn't amazing at attacking in that sense. And didn't manage to get any hits off when trying to defend the other NPC, and so they just sort of ran away. I have a fact, but she's the one who definitely saw them, and she's the one who's now like meant to keep tabs on them and see exactly if they have been sneaking out or not. It's so funny. Their reaction was so good, where it's just like, oh no, I can't believe it's her. And you might be like, hey, as a DM, did you like pull some strings? Did you pull some magic to be like, oh, to make sure it was her? That's one. And I was like, no, this was actually something which was reasonably planned. I was just like, if the situation gets out of hand, if they get caught, I'm like, what could happen? Maybe it would probably escalate to someone who's higher up in the council, and you know, she's higher up. I mean, she was just one who was visiting at the time, because I was just like, oh, you know, who would be here at this moment? It just works out so perfectly, like unbelievably perfectly. I cannot even imagine. So we got to take those nice coincidences here and there. It's a rare one where it was actually like somewhat planned, I suppose, from the beginning. Of course, I didn't expect this to actually like come to be. I didn't think this is exactly how the story was going to pan out, but I'm very glad it did in that sense. Anyway, no more D&D talk. That's enough of the first 5 minutes and done and dusted. What should we talk about today? I don't really know. Should we see how Team 0%'s doing? Team 0%. Anyone done trimming verbs? How's it been going? 10 chalet. Doesn't look like we've done it yet, which is fair enough. What is that like? Team 0% website. I don't know how close people necessarily have gotten. Is Super Mario Maker beaten yet? Not yet. See how we're doing. Still just one level. Trimming the herbs. 19 days. I think they can do it, but damn, is it close? What can we say? I haven't replied to comments for ages, and honestly, I've just like not had the time, to be perfectly honest, to do things. It's always busy, and it just keeps getting busier. And after this, what am I going to do? I'm going to spend time doing some more. Well, I'm going to play some games, and then I'm going to do like more work on this thumbnail art, which I've not managed to work on for a while. So I think the anniversary is next Monday, isn't it? I don't think this is going to be finished in time. I think I'll probably get close. I think I'll probably finish colouring everything in time. I don't think I'd probably not finish rendering by that point, but we'll see. Because actually there's not too much in rendering. As I say, this background is significantly simpler than all the other backgrounds done thus far, so it's not really too bad. But yeah, what should we talk about? I don't really know. What's going on in the gamosphere? The spring sale's going on. I haven't actually bought any games yet. Should we take the time to actually buy some games, I suppose, off my wish list? I mean, I don't really need to. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I have so many games for ages. Like, it's not really much point. I don't know what I'm going to play, though. I did mention at some point, if you missed it, but I said I was going to do an anniversary live stream, and that will be when I start actually live streaming. One day on the weekend. Maybe both days on the weekend, I suppose, depending on how things necessarily pan out. But certainly at least one day on the weekend each week I will be streaming, and then another day maybe throughout the weekday I might stream. But that's a big maybe. I'm not really sure what day would work, because Monday, Wednesday I can't really do because that's the D&D sessions, and then like Tuesday and Thursday is busy because that's like working days, and then Fridays like that's also I don't know exactly how it's going to work, so it might just be Saturday, Sunday. Maybe Tuesday, depending on how timings work out, but we'll see. Honestly, I'm kind of excited for it. Streaming sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, to be perfectly honest, but, you know, neither here nor there. Who really knows? Who can say how the wind blows? It just kind of depends how timing works out. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. So, yeah, sorry I haven't responded to comments for, like, a month or something maybe now. That's just like my bad. You also might have noticed that I've been really bad at actually naming the videos by the time they get uploaded. Like, I think this is like the third time in a row now that the Okami video has gone up with a hashtag titles, as I forgot to title it. I should do that at some point, but again, it's kind of difficult here and there. I don't remember what I was going to talk about. I was going to say something, and it's immediately like my mind is gone. My brain is like, it's not like dead after D&D sessions, but it definitely is more tired, I suppose, than usual. I mean, it is basically 3 hours of, not to be fair, continuous improvisation about something, but 3 hours of me sort of like keeping track of things, trying to remember things, trying to make sure that things work out, etc., etc. Not to say it's not draining, in a certain degree, would be lying. Like, obviously, it expends some effort. I don't get recharged by necessarily doing something. Well, depending on what a thing is. Sometimes I do, I guess, but, you know, there's only so much effort you can exert for so long. And I don't mean that in any way as a bad thing. It is very fun at the same time. But, you know, fun things can also be tiring, hey? Let's think of a conversation topic to talk about. Is there anything else to talk about from that weekend trip? No, not really, I think, anything of particular interest. Any games to talk about? League of Legends stuff to talk about. What about my gacha games? I got pretty lucky on my rolls. I just sent some random rolls in both Starlight Stage and Shiny Stage. Shiny Song? I can't remember what my game's even called. They went pretty well. I actually got the banner pickup within one 10 roll on Shiny Song, and within 4 10 rolls on Starlight Stage. So I was pretty lucky. I'm just kind of excited for the next Star Rail patch. It feels like they're really cooking. It feels like it's going to be crazy. Like, this patch in Genshin has been rather low key, if anything. There's like a management sim sort of game, which I don't know. Like, I can't tell if management simulators are my sort of game or not. Because on the one hand, you're like, darling, they absolutely sound like your sort of game. It's all about making things efficient. And that's something you love to do, isn't it? You love efficiency. You like min-maxing, not necessarily min-maxing, because it's not like I already do that much on a competitive degree or anything like that, but min-maxing for your own enjoyment to try and squeeze every last drop out of something is fun. And you're like, and I'm like, absolutely right, you are spot on. I do like making things efficient, and running management sims. I like sort of like the epitome of that, like running this makeshift business through simplified means or metrics is fun. But on the other hand, I'm like, maybe management sims aren't really my sort of game. It kind of depends on the game itself, but sometimes, you know, I tend to prefer much more puzzly story things. You might be like, management sims are kind of like puzzles, but it's not really the same sort of thing, because it's kind of like a one and done sort of deal. The choices you make end up have knock-on effects for the rest of the time, where puzzle games are all like self-contained things where you're free to experiment, you're free to do things over and over again, run things back and forth as you see fit. And often management sims tend to have a much more boring interface, I will say. Not as visually interesting, because I suppose at the heart of it tends to be a lot of like menu management. Of course, depending on the game you actually play. So I can't really tell if maybe I'm in a love-hate relation, not in a hate, but love indifferent relationship with management simulators. I will say, I think I probably do maybe skew on the side of liking them. I think it does have to be like a specific one. Like, I have to really like the aesthetic or the concept of it. Otherwise, I think I wouldn't play one which is just like a mud game or something, which is just text. But I will say, when I was much younger, there was this Neopets management simulator game I used to love playing called Plushie Tycoon. I was not any good at it because, of course, the time I played Neopets, I was like 6 or 7 when I actually played it that often enough to actually try and like engage with Plushie Tycoon, because that's something you need to like check back in every single day. I was terrible. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no concept of what was going on. But I loved it so much. It was like one of my favorite games. My actual favorite game, I think, was Shapeshifter. But my second favorite game was Plushie Tycoon, despite the fact I had no idea what was going on. I guess it was just really satisfying, like buying the materials, deciding what plushies to make and then sell, and like upgrading your shop as it goes along. And despite the fact I had no idea what I was doing, and I almost certainly ended up bankrupt like every single time I tried to do it. It was just fun, all the same. I don't know if Plushie Tycoon is still a thing. In the new Neopets, I'm just sort of like looking at my quest as well. Speckled paintbrush, how much does that cost? Jelly Neo speckled paintbrush. You might be like, why are you doing this now? I always do this sort of stuff now. It costs 2,000 Neo points. Okay, that's not really, I can't be bothered, I suppose, to do that. Classic games. I don't know if Plushie Tycoon exists. Plushie Tycoon, it does exist. You can create a store. Oh, cool. I don't know if I want to start it up now, to be perfectly honest, but I did love it so much when I was younger. Like, genuinely. I found it so much fun. I'm trying to think of what other management simulators I played. I don't really think there's many I played. I bought Reciteer to play like ages ago, but like I never got around to it. I think like the dungeon crawling aspect actually doesn't appeal to me all that much. Like when I think of it, I guess in that context, like Reciteer, like the management sim does actually engage to me. I think like does seem engaging to me, like finding like what to buy and like pricing things and haggling, etc., and running the shop, and so it almost becomes like automated in that sense. I don't know, but I have like these weird hesitations over it at the same time. I actually don't think I played all that many management sims now I think about it. Management sims, but they're always like on the sort of list of games, management sims, where I'm like, I want to play this game, but then I never do, because I never feel like I have a drive to play it at the same time. It's like I see it and I'm like, this seems like fun, but then I don't. Let's see. The 2 Point games, I've never played those. Project High Rise and Prison Architect, also never played those. Black and White, fair enough. I don't know. I guess I kind of like progress-esque games, which is why I end up playing with like these gacha games so much, is because they're sort of like check-in daily progress games where you like slowly increment your progress here and there and get stronger and stronger and stronger, that sort of thing. I like things, I guess, over a longer scale like that. Maybe that's why I like Plushie Tycoon so much, rather than management sims where you sit down and you play for an hour and you cycle through like 10 days or something. I never really thought about that. Maybe I like long scale games which pass more in real time rather than in short form. Spiritfarer? I like Spiritfarer, but I like Spiritfarer because of the story. I actually did not care that much from the management side of Spiritfarer, or that much. I'm just seeing like what games. I'm on r/girl gamers seeing what people recommend. Frostpunk. I didn't even know Frostpunk was a management game before. I thought it was a top-down shooter like XCOM for some reason. Not shooter, strategy game. I think I'm getting it confused with a different game. Oh, I'm very much getting it confused with a different game. Idol Manager. Do I know this game? Idol Manager. I actually don't know this game. But I guess it's the same sort of concept of basically what I'm playing on my gacha games. Is Zoo Tycoon and Roller Coaster Tycoon? That's another... Are they considered management games? Yeah, I guess so. I love Roller Coaster Tycoon so much when I was younger. Like, one of my neighbours, actually. No, not my immediate neighbours, my next over neighbours. Were two, like, boys as well. Well, not as well, but two boys who were, like, older than me. By, like, a year and 3 years or something. And I'd often go to their house to play, like, video games and that sort of thing. And one game we played all the time was Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. Again, I was absolutely atrocious at, like, the management aspect of it. But I don't know, I really like playing it all the same. I had no concept of exactly what was going on. And I feel like Planet Zoo was, like, a game which has been on my wish list for ages. But I never get around to purchasing it or playing it. Because, again, it's the sort of thing where I'm like... I feel like I like the concept of strategy games, but then I don't actually care that much for playing them when I actually get around to it. Weird, huh? Oh, what games have I got in my cart? Oh, Gunfire Reborn. At some point, I should talk to some friends, being like, hey, do you want to play Gunfire Reborn? Because it seems like it would be a fun game to play together, but... yeah, maybe another time. Because I hear it's kind of like Left 4 Dead-esque, which sounds like a fun time. I have so many games on my playlist, so I don't really think I need to add any more at the moment. I'm going to let these games which are on my cart just expire. There you go, management sims. I just had a flash for a second in my mind. I was like, there's a management sim, which is like a Flash game I used to play, but I can't remember what it was anymore. I had it in my brain for a second. But it's like gone completely. I remember one of my friends used to play like this management sort of like idol game. Not idol as in like IDOL, but IDLE. I can't remember, it was called like Millionaire or something. Like he had to become a millionaire, except for he was like a 27 trillionaire or something. I remember he always used to play it in sick form. And I was just like, what is that? And I watched him. You might be like, what was your go-to game in sick form? Plants vs Zombies on the phone. Plants vs Zombies 2, that is. I liked it a lot. I will say, but, you know, some of the levels are crazy difficult. Stardew Valley. That's interesting as well, because I guess Stardew Valley is a management game, but Stardew Valley just didn't hook me for some reason. I think that's what I mean. It's like I really like the concept of making things efficient and these efficiency-based games, but I don't actually like playing them all that much when I actually get around to it. I don't know why. I guess I like the concept of number go up, but I don't like the minutiae of making number go up. Maybe? I don't really know. I don't really thought about this all too often. Probably one of my weirdest relationship with a genre of video game. Anyway, I'm going to round this episode off here because I don't really know what I'm talking about anymore. But if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, description, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now. Epic Games come to iOS and Android. That's pretty crazy.